We are all set to begin with our today's webinar. A very warm welcome to all our participants present here today. As a core component of any performance management plan, goal setting helps businesses overcome the challenges of scaling their workforces. OKRs are a popular goal setting framework that businesses use to define and measure progress across different levels within the organization. When used effectively, OKRs spark innovation, unite teams, and create a clear path of taking companies to the next level. HR Association of India welcomes you all to the Dialogue 2022 Masterclass series on the topic OKR, Measure What Matters. To know more about HRAI and its events, I would request all our participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. Request all the participants to kindly follow the webinar guidelines mentioned in the chat window. It would be great to have all the participants' feedback. We will be running a poll before the Q&A session. Request all participants to kindly give your feedback on the session. I now take the privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker for today, Ms. Saloni Kaul. Ms. Saloni Kaul is the founder and CEO of Its People, an HR business coach with over 30 years of leadership, consulting, coaching, mentoring, and training. Saloni has held leadership responsibilities at the finest names in the industry: Dell EMC, Tata Consultancy Services, Tata Infotech, etc., to name a few. Saloni is a certified Marshall Goldsmith leadership coach, Power Coach CLI Canada, recognized HR influencer and mentor, Womenovator, award-winning entrepreneur, ISB Goldman Sachs 2013, mentor to startup entrepreneurs and students, and best-selling author of the Growth Hacking Book 2, 2020. She is also the current president at Faridabad Management Association and at Tajurba Phoenix Faridabad chapter. You can also follow her on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. I now hand over the platform to Ms. Saloni. Over to you, Ms. Saloni. I think you are on mute.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pooja. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
All right. So I'd like to begin today's session on OKRs. Would like to understand how many people who have joined in today have heard or read about OKRs. You could probably raise your hands using the option, the reaction option. How many of you have actually heard about OKRs or know anything about it? No one? I don't see any raised hands. Okay, so never mind. Let's talk about OKRs then. So the book, Measure What Matters, this has been written by John Doerr. And Measure What Matters is about using OKRs, which is objective key results. It is a revolutionary approach to goal setting to make tough choices in business. In fact, to help organizations execute their strategy in a manner that everybody is aware of what they need to do and things get done also. I mentioned the book because I think the book became so popular ever since John talked about it and wrote about it, that many people have started looking at the book and understanding how could they implement the same within their organizations. So in 1999, basically, there was this legendary venture, capitalist, you can call John that. He invested nearly $12 million in a startup that had amazing technology, that had entrepreneurial energy, that had sky-high ambitions. And Doerr introduced the founders to OKRs. Doerr himself is not the creator of this concept. He learned it from Andy Grove, who, when he used to work with Intel, he learned it there. But then a couple of years, rather 3 decades later, this was in the 1970s. So later in the 1990s, when Doerr was working, and he introduced this concept to the management. And the startup started using it. There were only 40 people at that time. But from 40 people, they became more than 70,000 people with a market cap, which was actually exceeding $600 billion. That startup was none other than Google. So in Measure What Matters, Doerr shares a broad range of case studies to demonstrate the focus, the agility, and also the explosive growth that OKRs have spurred at so many great organizations. This book also shows how to collect timely and relevant information, data, to track the progress, to measure what really matters, and that will help any organization, or rather any even smaller ones, not just that they have to be big organizations, even smaller teams, to help them aim high, move fast, and actually excel. So that is the book. Now, many of you would have also been familiar with these goal setting frameworks. Again, I talk about management by objectives, SMART goals, KPIs. Again, can I see a raise of hands? How many of you are aware of these and have used MBOs? Anyone? These are all very popular goal setting frameworks. So MBO started as early as 1990s or even earlier than that, where organizations would actually, the manager and the employee, the supervisor and the reportee would come together. And this MBO was introduced by none other than Peter Drucker. It was a process during which management and employees would actually come together, they would define, and they would agree upon objectives and what they needed to do to observe them. MBOs were clearly, in a way, the front runner of OKRs, because what we have done in MBOs is something that we're going to borrow something from there into the OKR concept. So the idea that a manager would let his team work, right? Let them, get them the objective, give them, this is what I'm expecting, and then trust his team to accomplish it without micromanaging. Now, this was a huge and almost, I would say, an efficient shift. So when I used to work for EMC, and this was like as early as early 2000s, so I'm talking about almost 15, 18 years ago, we had MBOs back then. And it was almost that my manager and me would agree on what is it that I needed to deliver in the coming quarter, because some part of our compensation was, put aside and said, this is what would go into the MBO. So it was a great way in letting the manager and the employee decide. It was not controlling, it was objective, and it also helped both the employee to accomplish the MBO by himself or herself, and the manager didn't really have to micromanage or control that approach. Then came SMART goals. Again, we know what SMART goals are. This is another goal setting framework. So the SMART goals are all about being specific. And this was introduced by none other than John Doran. And then came the KPIs, the key performance indicators. Now, all of these frameworks have a sense of, consequences, and of course, many, many advantages, because it led people and led organizations and managers to set objectives, to set goals, and then create processes around performance management. So KPI introduced a metric, validated performance evaluation, which companies could use. And of course, we know that SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, results orientation, and of course, time bound. So elements of this approach again went into OKRs, and particularly when we talk about results, focus, and the time bound. So what did OKRs bring to the table? As we know, this was a goal setting methodology that John Doerr introduced to Google, a model he first learned from Andy at Intel, and then it came on to, the Google company. So what is OKR really, and how did it really happen that there were so many organizations around the time when, OKRs came into play? What is it that John Doerr did? So he started working with Google in late 1990s and supported Google's growth from, like I said, 40 employees to almost more than 1 lakh. Some of the companies who've used OKRs include LinkedIn, include Airbnb, Dropbox, Amazon, Twitter, many others. But if we look at that, are OKRs only for tech startups? No, it is not so. I use OKRs for my own business, and I'm not a techie. I'm not a tech startup. I'm into services. When we look at OKRs for manufacturing companies, yes, they're also using OKRs. So it is not limited to any industry that only a tech company can do it. Any company can adopt this methodology because it is agile and it is very helpful in helping organizations create a transparent approach and letting people know what they need to do and why they need to do, because it contributes towards the organization goal. So we've been talking about the history, but what really are OKRs? So OKR, the O stands for objective, and KR is not the KRA that we are, very, very familiar with. KR stands for key results. And it is a popular concept because it allows organizations to set measurable goals, track the progress, not like year-end, but almost weekly, quarterly. And therefore, it's very agile. People know exactly where they are. And the organization also comes to know how well they are doing on those OKRs. Now, if I want to talk about business strategy and the OKR Connect, so you will be surprised to know that there was this Harvard Business Review that said that almost 95% of any company's strength, the employees, would be unlikely to be aware of what is it that the business strategy is. And if people are not aligned and if people are not aware what the strategy is and why they are doing certain things in a certain way, then you can see that it is a recipe for disaster. So OKR brought in that business people connect because it helped people to see and jot down their own OKRs in a very, very transparent way. So while goal setting is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible, says Anthony Robbins, OKRs is actually all about focusing on the main objective. So the main objective is what everybody looks at. And then how would that main objective, once achieved, what would be the key results that organizations should be looking at? So there's a key objective, and it is not that the key objective is, quantifiable. Rather, it is qualitative, it is aspiring, it is stretching. But the key results are definitely quantifiable. So here is a structure, and this is something that is being given by John Doerr. The OKR formula is that I will, and probably if I could use, an example here, that I will launch the version 3 of whatever my product or services as measured by, and then I would say that by a certain date. So I want to launch something by a certain date would be my key result. The objective is a very memorable description, and we'll see lots of examples depending upon what is it that you wish to achieve. So for every function in the organization, the objective, which is drawn from the organizational objective, would be linked, and people would look at what is it as a team, as a department they need to deliver. So the objective is short, it is aspirational, it is engaging, it is designed to give a direction, it provides motivation, and also it challenges the team, which means it is not a comfy zone. It's not that people can stay in their comfort zone and achieve it. It is going to stretch them, and it is definitely aspirational and going to help them go to the next level. So the objective has to be structured in that manner. So what qualifies as a good OKR would be, it brings about a positive change. It is very clear. It is a challenging statement. It is inspiring, and it also gives a direction to the person. Let's look at the KR part of the OKR. So KR here are the metrics that measure progress towards a set objective. Now, an organizational objective could be that we want to probably look at being a quality company, achieving, or let's say the organization wants to win a people award. So they want to be, known as an amazing, or a great place to work. Let's say that's one of the objectives. So for each of those objectives that an organization sets, there should be at least 3 to 5 key results. So the results is what is going to help specify and get the team aligned to it. Now, every result will obviously have lots of activities behind it, but the OKR methodology does not look at those activities. That's beyond the framework. So the result is not a step-by-step or a plan. It's only a metric. And the key results can either be scored on 0.0 to 1.0, which is either 0% or 100% results. And the average of the key results progress would then be what the organizational or the OKR objective result would be or look like. So the OKR result criteria should be that something that can be monitored over the OKR period. Now here I'm introducing a new term, OKR period, which is essentially about 90 days, an OKR, like a quarter. So while an objective can be set annually, because let's say there is a strategy meeting and the organization decides to execute on certain strategies. So those could be set on an annual basis. But then what is the key results that we are looking at following up and ensuring it happens? That is over a period, which is called the OKR period. And normally it is looked at 90 days. Now, 90 days helps people. It gives them a short window. It keeps them focused because they know that there is a progress update that we need to be delivering. And there is an exchange between the team members on how they could creatively look at achieving that result. So the activities or the how part is not set. Like, okay, you have to do these 10 things and then you'll be able to achieve the results. So the micromanagement just goes out. What is really at play here is that there's an objective that the organization wishes to achieve. And to be able to achieve that objective, there are a couple of key results. And we pick up those key results, anything between 3 to 5, and then work on those key results. So it's very, very specific to the objective. It helps determine whether that objective has been achieved or not. And that is why the key results need to be very specific. And there's no room for interpretation. So the specific steps that you will take to achieve your key results, they are beyond the OKR framework. They may be called tasks, you may call them activities or initiatives, but they're not about listing down. The OKR is not about listing down all your steps. It's about setting the direction using the objective and then identifying what would those measurable metrics be. Now, if somebody says that personal OKR, somebody says that I want to be healthy and fit. And he says that I will work on 3 KRs. So my key results are that my BP is stable, my sugar is stable, and my weight is this much. So see, if I only do these 3 things, I know I'll be healthy and fine. Now there could be 10 more things, but it is for the person to choose what would be those key results that he's going to work towards. So I hope this example actually, made you understand. I'll give you now a business example. So for example, I want to successfully launch version 3 of a certain product. That's the objective. Now, how would the key results look like? My key results could look like that I want to get over 10,000 new signups. I want to achieve a trial sign-up conversion ratio of over 25%. And then I want to achieve a trial to paid conversion ratio of over 50%. Now, if an organization just looks at these 3 key results and works on these 3 results, it's more focused. The team knows exactly what it is that they are working towards, and they're able to not just track and measure and review on a more frequent basis. That's why it's called Agile framework, but they're also able to make changes. So if something's not working, there could be some changes in the activity part, the initiative part, right? The plan part, right? These don't change, but how you are moving about achieving these key results may change. So while launching a product would require many, many other activities, the team may decide to focus on only the key results, and because that is what they are focused on. And I'm sure you've heard this before, that what you focus on, right? So where attention goes, energy flows. And OKR is a beautiful, tool, framework that actually amplifies this quotation. Now, typically an OKR cycle would follow these steps. This is just, an example. So once the company sets its objectives, the team or the departments can set their own objectives, which have been drawn from the organizational objectives. And then in step 3, it may add, it's not that they need to add, they may add some personal individual objectives also. But there are organizations who say, no, we don't look at personal, we're just going to look at the company and the department objectives. And then everybody as a team works together to make that happen. So the process that helps organizations set and achieve their goals using OKR begins with setting the objectives, then cascading it down to the team. And when the review happens, so usually the review can happen weekly, you have weekly check-ins, the review can happen on a fortnightly or a monthly basis also. But the part that I want to draw your attention is that the objective and the key result is set for a period of 90 days so that it becomes very easy. It is stretch, but it becomes easy. And we know that this is it that we need to deliver in the short term. So if you probably just go back and look at how organizations do their own performance management systems, they have an annual goal. So goal sheets are all annual, that you need to do this by this date. So all the goal sheets would probably talk about 31st March as being the date by which all these goals have to be achieved. Though there could be goals that are given at interim levels also. But the appraisal or the evaluation of whether those goals were achieved or not would happen 6 monthly or even annually. Like nobody's looking at those goals or even the achievement of those goals on a more frequent basis. So while the process is iterative, it is not uncommon for organizations to go through several cycles before they reach their desired outcomes. But it means that over a period of time, probably 4 cycles, 6 cycles down, which is of a quarter each, people would get the sense and results would absolutely come. So the key to success is to maintain the focus and discipline throughout the process. Anything that we do consistently, anything that we track and measure consistently gets done. And that is exactly what OKRs is all about. So why OKRs? Because there's improved accountability. In fact, the review happens so regularly that people become responsible, they become accountable, and they deliver. People are motivated. Why? Because nobody's telling them do this and do that. People are all working towards a common objective and key result. So they know that, okay, we need to deliver this, and they work towards it. There's improved corporate direction, and there's more agility, there's more alignment. And of course, without communication and transparency, these things cannot happen. So OKR brings in a change, a shift, even in the way we work within the organizational culture. And when we're talking about Google or Intel, these are big corporations who started small, but look at the size, look at what they have achieved just using this methodology. Let's look at OKR's principles now. So what are those principles? There are about 6-7 principles that I'm going to quickly take you through. Number 1, ambitious goals. So the idea behind OKR is to set bold and stretch goals. So people, you must have heard of something called, BHAG, bold, hairy, audacious goals. So we're not talking about that here. We're talking about something which is little beyond the team's capabilities. In fact, a good OKR completion score is about 60 to 70%, because it means the team is trying and almost getting there. Now, if the team is reaching 100%, it means the OKR that you've set is too easy. So that should not. And also people talk about don't mix your OKRs with your performance appraisal, because obviously then people will not really like to be evaluated for something that was stretch and then be told that you wouldn't achieve your goals. So that's a recommendation that I would say, that don't compare or don't integrate the two. They are different. When setting such ambitious goals, try and people try and achieve them, the team starts thinking and working together. And that's the beautiful part, because nobody's saying, how am I going to be evaluated? What is the weightage? What do I need to prove and say that, oh, I was better than the other person? So here, when you are working together as a team, it is the team score that matters. And that's how it results in increased productivity. When I say 60 to 70%, this score is not applicable to all OKRs. For example, if you want to launch or release a program or a software or a version by a certain date, then you can't be doing 60 to 70% of that. So some things are non-negotiable, even sales numbers, for example. So some of those things would definitely not be, 60 to 70% success score would not be applicable. It would always be 100%. Let's look at the next principle, measurable. If it does not have a number, it is not a key result, right? So key results have to be measurable and they have to be tied to tangible milestones. Remember, I said that the objective is short, it's small, and that's where the simplicity comes in. It should be easy to understand, because if it's complex, then how will everyone understand? So it should not be long-winded, 1 or 2 lines. It should be very short, couple of words, and that's it. So they need not list all the everyday activities, like I said, or the routine. They only display the most important, part, which is where the organization needs to focus on. Next, bidirectional goal setting. Now, traditionally in our organizations, we have all the goals coming down from the top, right? And so it is even here, but here we have something little different. The OKRs do use a top-down approach, but that is only when they are setting the strategic direction. So they set the strategic OKRs, which is top-down, and then each department and each individual team member within would then draft their own OKRs, which is bottoms-up approach. And that's how the bidirectional goal setting happens. So the good rule of the thumb is that at least 60% of the OKRs should be created bottom up, which also meets the, the expectations of the management, because whatever they have set as OKRs is aligned to what the strategic OKRs that have been set by the management. So the great thing is that they are set themselves, and there's more accountability, there's more passion, there's more rigor when the teams own up and say, okay, we will make this happen, instead of, the management, pushing it. So it's not push, it's pull. And this gives more autonomy and personal responsibility as well. Next comes transparency. So this is really cool. All the OKRs, which is from the CEO, from the top to the bottom, all the OKRs should be visible to all the team members, so that anyone can check and have, a holistic view of how the company's goals are being cascaded. So again, social responsibility, like I said, when you commit to those OKRs and say, okay, this is what I will do, then you go ahead and do it. And then when your goals are, visible, when people can view what your goals are, that also makes you, more accountable. And last but not the least, regular cadence. Now, we look at traditional goal setting and traditional goal reviews. The cadence would be probably, some key things could be looked at, and the regular cadence would be okay, 3-4 months, 6 months, annually. But OKRs are not about you set and you forget them. The strategic ones, like I said, they are set annually, but the reviews will happen weekly, monthly. And the quarterly ones would be those for the company departments, where the people would then work as a team to make that happen. At the end of each period, which is, like I said, usually a quarter, 90 days, the teams then, grade their OKRs. So they give a score to themselves as to how much did we do, 50, 60, 40, 70, whatever. And that is not looked at as, oh, you did not meet your targets, you did not contribute. No, because we have 3 more quarters. So we have done what was expected, and now we're going to do more. So it does take about a year, 4 cycles for people to get into that OKR way of working. And if it is a new way that the organization is, adopting and trying out, and then there may be some, some issues in the beginning, but once people get used to it, it is actually fun. So you grade the OKRs, and then if you need to upgrade or update the strategic part, then do that as well, and then set the next cycle of OKRs. So personally, I'm part of an OKR mastermind group where we set our own OKRs every quarter. And it is so much fun. Every Thursday, we connect at 7 p.m. Again, it's a team, right? We connect at 7 p.m. and we talk about that, okay, this was my OKR, this is what I've done, this is where I'm facing a problem and the challenge, and then people would all give me, some inputs. Okay, try this way, do that, or I'll connect you to someone who can help you. So now, while this mastermind is basically a business networking forum, but within the organization, we can do something very similarly. Like every department would meet on a certain day of the week and they would talk about where they are, because this team connect has to be there. And the regular cadence just makes it so useful and helpful. Let's now start and talk about certain examples. So like I said earlier, the O in the OKR, which is objective, it needs to be a qualitative, inspirational, time-bound goal, and it can be executed by a team or by an individual. So here is one clear and easy statement: build a high-performance analytics team. So this is a recruitment OKR. Okay, so is this a good OKR objective? It doesn't have a time issue here. It doesn't state in how much time, but when we look at the KRs, which is the key result, it is all about quantifying the OKR objective and breaking it into specific metrics. Now here, 3 key results have been chosen. Number 1, so building a high performance analytics team. So KR key result number 1 is hire 10 new employees for the analytics team. Now we know that this is for the quarter, so we know that these people need to be hired, and there could be some staggered, like probably 3-3-4 or 3-4-3, some kind of a stagger could be there, which is a subset of the key result 1. Key result 2 could be 95% completion rate of closed tickets, which means that customers are raising tickets, 95% need to be closed, and these tickets must be closed by the team members within 30 days of hire, which means for the recruitment team, they need to ensure that a high performance analytics team, the tickets need to be closed within 30 days of hire, which means you're training these new team members to be able to, address and close those tickets. Key result number 3, achieve 90% and above scores on what? On employee satisfaction surveys for new hires. Now, why did they choose this third key result? Can anyone share with me? Can anyone share with me? Why do you think this third key result has been used in this example? What purpose is it serving in building a high performance analytics team? Anyone?
Hi, this is Sarita here. Hi. In my view, it could be to handle the early infant iteration.
Exactly. So the team is having an issue. So they need a high performing team. That's why the key result number 2 is all about high performance, ticket closures, 95%. And then building a team means we must retain them as well. So achieving 90% and above on the new hires means that they are happy. We're doing everything possible to make them engaged and, delivering. Very good observation. So adapting this framework to your organization and customize OKR to your requirements is the way forward. And once you start to doing it, it becomes more easy. Like it could feel a little, challenge, but because sometimes a concept understanding takes a bit of a time. But once you start doing it, and you start in one area, you don't have to start in many areas. Start in one area, see how it progresses. And I would say if you're starting now, then instead of doing 90-day OKR, you can pick up goals which you believe should be achieved in 30 days. So that even gives you, more power and more energy to go full throttle on it. So that's one example. Let's look at some more examples. So this is for a digital business. Their OKRs to produce and roll out amazing content. So just see how the OKR has been worded. This is the objective. So in 2022, produce and roll out, not content, amazing content. And to do that, they have 4 key results mentioned. Let's look at those key results. Publish 6 books on business management, publish 25 blogs for our HR audience, create 15 infographics on business strategy, and generate 5,000 visitors per week. Now, just look at what is it that, see what they will do, the activity, the plan, that's all separate. But if they were to accomplish these 4 key results, and the goals have been set, annual goals have been set, as you can see, 2022. So the progress on the right side, so out of 6, 3 have been done, out of 25, 8 have been done, out of 15, 3 have been done, and out of 5,000, in fact, we have exceeded. Out of not 5,000, we've done 5,040 visitors so far. So this is how the OKR is being tracked also in this particular visual. Let's look at another example. Build a high quality inbound lead pipeline. So an inbound lead pipeline is basically, let's say, for a department that's looking at business development, and they are going to make sure that they're getting high quality leads. The pipeline has to be always there, and then those leads are going to get converted. Okay, they will be converted into customers. So let's look at their key results. So acquire at least 500 leads per week. Maintain a lead quality which is above 50%. Increase number of sessions per week to 2,500. This must be some sessions. Or increase CTR for email to 15%. Right? So this is the conversion ratio that they have set for themselves. And if you look at the results on the right side, you can see that they've crossed 500 leads already. They are 25%, and by now they should have actually been, they've done 50%, but they should have been more. So imagine that when you're crystal clear what you want to achieve, it's not a huge paragraph, it's one straight line which has a couple of words: inspiring, engaging, giving you a direction. And then you have identified those key results and not looked at, okay, I have 10 more or 5 more, I'm going to only focus on these. Then all your energies, all your focus, all your attention is then as an organization, as a team, as a department, it all converges, and people come together to say, okay, to make this happen, what do we need to do? And then they think creatively and make it happen. And that's the power of OKR that we can all leverage. Okay, here's one for HR. Make my organization a great place to work. Okay, and a great place to work by Q4 of 2022. How would I do that? So they have 3 key results that they want to basically achieve. Number 1, decrease the talent turnover rate from 30% to 10%. Okay, launch care for employees and their families program by Q4. Increase employee productivity index from 60 to 70%. Now, how you're going to achieve it is a different matter. But to identify that, okay, these are the areas that I need to work upon. So it's as good as saying, okay, these are the things that I'm good, I can become great at it. That could be one approach. Or these are the areas where I'm not so good and I want to definitely improve that rate. For example, your turnover rate. So as an organization, as a department, top down and bottom up approach, you can decide what would those KRs be that you wish to work upon, and then get your team together to brainstorm, to think creatively and say, okay, how do we do this? And then everybody works together. Improve effectiveness of the sales process. Okay, so apparently this is one objective where people want that we should have a better sales process, because probably we're not getting as many conversions as they wish. So let's look at what are the key results. Increase pipeline conversion. So you have a pipeline, a steady pipeline. You want to convert that from 25% to 40%. Remember, there was a lead gen also objective, OKR. So increase the pipeline conversion. So probably today they are at 25%. They want to almost double it, but not quite. And imagine they've been able to do it. They're already at 33%. Hire a dedicated sales partner. So this is one great idea that, okay, for improving the effectiveness, we need to have a dedicated sales partner for every account which are greater than $1 million. So we also have a timeline that this needs to be done by quarter 4. So there's quarter 4. In fact, all the 3 key results are for quarter 4 of 2021. Just an example. So the pipeline conversion, hire the vice president, and then increase net new sales revenue by $150 million. So as you can see, what you focus on, measure what matters, what you wish to focus on, that is the metric that you take as your key results to drive results, drive the objectives that have been set forth by the organization and also set forth by the function of the department that you belong to. Improve annual revenues. Quarter 4, again, let's say, assuming this is the year-end quarter that we're talking about. Increase average gross profit margin from 30 to 40%, increase the company average deal size by 40%, increase sales conversion rate from 60 to 80%. So again, these are some key results which organization wants to focus on. And since they are focusing on, people are working on it, and then one can see that some progress is being made. So the progress is being made in these areas. As you will note, we didn't have too many key results. If you have too many key results and energies are distributed, and people then don't know which one to work upon first. So let's not have too many key results. 3, maximum 5. 5 is actually on the higher side. 3 is great. 3 is awesome because everybody is so focused. 3 is always a good, a good number to look at, because the moment the number goes up, then you kind of fall back and you're not able to, give your best or perform, because every key result requires, action, and then you would need to, and you have the same amount of time. So yes, so look at 3 key results per objective, because that is going to help you focus, help the team focus better. And we're almost at the end of today's session. I would now like to just take you through some tips for setting OKRs. So remember I talked about strategic OKRs, like that set by the organization. So the idea is that yes, do it. But here is a tip. If you're doing it for the first time, then don't start by first setting an objective for the annual, for the year, right? Start with setting your objectives and goals for the quarter, since you're just getting started. So it's easy to sit today and say, okay, next 3 months, this is what I want to do. It's easy, right? In fact, we do this at every year end, like, okay, 2023 is coming. What do I want to do in the next year? And we say, okay, these are my New Year resolutions. So it's easy to set forth, say, okay, let's do it for the next quarter, not for the next year. Start with setting goals for the quarter. Then identify the objectives that you want to achieve for that quarter. Then define the objectives clearly, like make it short, making it inspiring, make it challenging, make it stretching also. But clearly, this is something that you want to achieve. Clearly. And the more focused and clear you are in your mind, so will the results be. And the more vague and the more distracted you are, that's exactly how the results are going to look like. So less the better. Okay, so define the objectives without any ambiguity so that you are absolutely clear what is it that you really want to achieve. The more pinpointed you can be about your objectives, the better the results. Then set your key results using concrete KPIs wherever possible. So what's KPI? Those are the key performance indicators, and they are concrete because they are always metric driven. There will always be, this is the measurable part. This is what needs to happen. And therefore, did it happen? No. Did it happen? Yes. Did it happen 100%? No. Maybe 70%, 60%, which is again good because something happened and now we can learn from whatever happened and we can get better at doing it the next quarter. So we are improving our productivity. We're improving the results that we are working on. So set your key results using concrete KPIs. Then list the initiatives. Now this is beyond the OKRs. List the initiatives that will help you to achieve those key results. Now don't do this alone. Do this with the team. because with the team you have more inputs, more suggestions, and then there's more accountability. You've always heard of the person who gave suggestion. He was told, now that you've given the suggestion, why don't you implement it also? So very similarly, when a suggestion comes, then you engage the team to make that suggestion into a reality. So list the initiatives, take the team along with you so that they can help you list it down and also help you achieve the KRs. And then last but not the least, this is gold, right? If you can track it weekly, I can tell you there was a time in between when the captain of our team had to, somebody was, not well. So we then need to assign, a vice captain for the mastermind group that I'm talking about. And there was a time when we didn't meet for 2 weeks. And when we didn't meet for 2 weeks, it was like, okay, whenever the next meeting happens, we'll turn up. And then I realized, and many others also felt, that because we were not meeting, we were like, okay, whenever the next meeting happens, we will publish and share our results then. So we're not really focused. So this cadence of tracking what we are achieving and doing it regularly, because this is like social accountability. It is gold. If you can get this right for your personal OKRs or for your professional OKRs, nothing like it. So track it weekly, not monthly, or at the end of the quarter, track it weekly. If you can do these, then you're all set to achieve your goals, your objectives, and everything else that you wish to achieve in your life. So that's it. Thank you so much for your patient listening, and happy to take any questions now.
Right. Before we move into the Q&A session, we will be initiating the poll. Request all participants to kindly share your feedback. While you're all doing so, request all participants to kindly post their questions in the chat window. Once again, I thank all our participants for joining our session today. We have received a lot of inquiry about the e-certificate offered by HRAI. You can claim your certificate by sharing your details, which are name and session attended, in an email to the email ID provided in the chat window. Please ensure you do this by end of this month. We will email the e-certificates to you based on the details received. So we have received a few questions during the registrations. First question is, what are the key benefits of OKR and how can it be achieve the organizational goals?
So may I know who asked the question?
We don't have the names here of who asked.
Okay, so the question was,
what are the key benefits of OKR and how can it achieve the organizational goals?
okay. So there are few but very, very key benefits. Number one, it helps the organizations in multiple ways. For example, alignment. Now, this is the main goal and the benefit of OKR. Why do I say that? Because when you are as an organization leader, you want, how many people actually know of what you want to achieve as a leader? What's your strategy? Do people know? People don't know. So OKR helps you connect the team, the individual people, with the goals and activities towards the company's strategic direction, the mission of the company. And everybody starts moving in that direction. So number one benefit is alignment. Number two is flexibility, because we have short goal cycles. It allows the team to adjust, to adapt. The risk is reduced, flexibility to change the way we are performing, change the activities so as to achieve. So let's say we were to look at a sales goal, and after 3 months we review, and 3 months we come to know, oh, we did nothing, or it was very small. We were doing something, but it was hardly, like we didn't even do 25%. Like in 1 quarter of let's say we divide the sales goal into 4 quarters. So at least 25% should have been achieved in quarter 1. So we have not even done that. We have done probably 15%. And we come to know this only at the end of 3 months, which is quarter 1. So flexibility here is that you are able to quickly, adjust the time to plan. Everything is because you're not looking at big goals, you're looking at small goals. So imagine I tell you, you have to lose 24 kilos in a year and somebody wants to lose. It's like too much. Tell them, oh, you only want to lose 2 kilos a month. It looks very small, very easy. And a person is motivated to do it also. So flexibility. Thirdly, focus. A lot of focus because we have simplified everything. We've reduced, we've removed the clutter. We've just brought in simple focus, three things that I have to do. And anything that is not about the current objective can be moved out. Okay, we will see it in the next cycle. So reduced number of objectives, reduced number of key results that any person is, looking at. And you have the autonomy, your manager is not, looking at you. You are yourself, socially and, professionally accountable for your goals. Why? Because you only set it up, because there's a bottom-up approach. So when you allow the teams to do their own goal setting, they are becoming more and more accountable. They take accountability for delivery of that also. There's more engagement. And of course, you achieve more than, what you felt you could. So those would be some benefits. And if you had to, implement this in your organization, so there are 3 levels of OKRs. First is company-wide, at the org level. That at the org level, we all have to achieve this. Then there is department-wise or functional-wise, which is where the team comes in. And then the third would be at the individual. So each level has 2 to max 4 objectives. So if we look at too many, then many things will go. Company-wide, you may look at revenue, you may look at some some coveted position, you might look at, and then if you look at sales would say, okay, to be able to do this, my key result is X number of new customers, this much percentage addition sales from existing customers. They can have 2-3 OKRs around that also. So this is how typically an organization can use OKR, build the OKRs and then execute it within their teams.
Okay. Sarita has posted a question in the chat window. Can OKR be implemented in any organization, or is there any criteria in terms of size, domain, etc.?
No, it can be implemented in any organization, even one-person organization.
Right. One more question we have here. KPIs and KRs, what is the difference? How do they intertwine?
So KPI, we borrow KPIs into key results. So what is KPI? It's a key performance indicator. It's a metric. Similarly, in OKRs, the key result, KRs, is the metric. So there's no difference. It's the same thing.
Okay. One more question is, when should I start using OKRs?
When you have decided what you want to achieve, you have a vision, you know what you want to achieve in the next 1 month, 3 months, 1 year. As soon as you know what you want to do, what you want to achieve, you are ready to implement OKRs. Like I said, it need not just be for professional goals. It can be for your personal goals also.
All right. One more question is, if first timers want to get started with OKRs right away, what should they do?
You can start by reading about OKRs. You can do a little more learning and studying. After today's session, you should be in a position to now start writing down OKRs. So it was not part of today's masterclass because it would have taken too much time. Then it would need to be a workshop style mode. But if you wish to start right away, then start writing down. So what is going to happen is you will do some version and then that version become better and better. And you just need somebody to guide you on it.
Okay. And one more question is, how do we get the team on board with OKRs?
Okay. So just like when you have team meetings, and so what's your approach? Is the approach that this is what I want you to do? So that is top down. as a manager, leader, business owner, whatever. So that is one approach. And then the other approach is that this is the direction in which, as an organization, we want to move forward. Okay. Now I would like to invite your inputs. I would like to invite your suggestions. So if you have a layered organization, which means you are there, then you have a team of leaders, and then under the leaders you have more people, then just bring in your next level. You bring in your next level and tell them this is the direction we want to go. And for me only these three things matter. So highlight what your objectives are, and then ask them, okay, how will you make this happen? Define what will you do so that these objectives are achieved. So everybody will come with their own. See, because you need you need different functions, you need different kind of expertise, you need different things. So, from each vertical, you will have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 OKRs, and let them come with those suggestions.
Right, nicely explained. Thank you, Ms. Saloni, for an insightful and intriguing session. It's been a pleasure being with you today, and I'm sure our participants had a lot to learn and take away from this session. Before we conclude with today's session, we would also want to thank the association members, Geisha, NASCOM COE, LinkedIn Local, Telgro, TLE, and WICCI for supporting this HRAI events. To know more about this association, request you to kindly visit the links provided in the chat window. Thank you once again, dear speaker and our participants, for joining us today. Do join us in the panel discussion on driving innovation in the new reality on 1st December at 3 p.m. That's it from our today's webinar. See you soon. Stay safe, take care, and bye for now. Thank you, Ms. Saloni.
You're welcome.